In England, in the early 1600s, there was a tiny band of people who called themselves separatists. They wished only to worship in their own way.
We sat down and wept, as for our hearts we had.
Open up in the name of the king! Open up, ye heretics! Open up, ye heretics!
For our hearts we hang them up on the trees therein.
Silence!
When we remember thee, O
Silence, I say!
we sat down and wept.
Master Brewster, be warned. If the King of England knows of your sins,
And we of his, I warrant.
enough! You shall disperse to your homes. Ye shall meet no more, either secretly or in public, to worship in this heretical way. So, you object to your so-called priest wearing clerical garb. You object to kneeling when receiving the Holy Sacrament. You object to idolatrous gear and trappings. You object and object.
Captain, you well know that we desire above all to have the word of God freely preached.
That you shall not have, Master Brewster. Mark me well. The King of England is the supreme authority in matters of religion as well as matters of state. You shall conform to the King's religion. If you do not, he shall harry you out of the land.
But whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also.
William?
Yes. Are you ready, Master Brewster?
Aye. We're ready.
Make haste. The King's guards will soon be on their round.
We'll leave this burning as though we were still here.
As though we did not have to leave our homes, to live as strangers in a strange land.
Nay, to live free in a free land.
Live? But how?
As we lived here, as tradespeople, artisans, farmers. As the Lord wills, so shall we live. Come, it is time.
And so began our pilgrimage. In the darkness of night, like thieves, some 200 of us took leave of our homeland and pursued freedom elsewhere, making our way to the only friendly land we knew, the low country behind the dikes, Holland. The Dutch were a goodly people and kind to us. Yet we were strangers among them, and our life was not easy. For 12 years we stood all willingly. But in the end, it was the suffering of our dearest children which so moved our hearts. So oppressed were they by the heavy labors which our poor conditions laid upon them. And more than this, we had fear they were becoming as strangers unto us, their loving parents. What we might do, we did not know. But do something we must. For how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?
It's quite possible, Master Brewster. It's quite possible. The New World may well be the place for your people.
And so 2 of our elders journeyed to London, there to consult with a certain Mr. Weston.
You understand, gentlemen, that our gracious king has granted our company a patent to settle the Virginia wilderness. But we are merchants. Our interest in this new world is to make a profit for our stockholders. Have your people any resources?
We are very poor in worldly goods, Master Weston.
Yes, I see. Well, suppose we did this. Suppose a group of merchants, including myself, subscribe a sum of money, say, 6,000 or 7,000 pounds, form a joint stock company between merchants and colonists to settle here, providing that each share in the company be of £10 value, the agreement to run...
Mr. Weston, if you would, a little slower, please.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, simply put, it comes to this. We finance your pilgrimage, you work for us, and we take the profit of your labors. Trade, fishing, farming, whatever you find there to apply yourselves to for 7 years.
7 years? Your terms are hard, Master Weston.
7 years? What are they, Master Brewster? Does not the Bible tell us that Jacob labored twice 7 years for the hand of Rachel?
We would, of course, have to discuss this with our people.
Oh, naturally, and I with mine. Mind you, I'm not at all sure we can do this. It's a risk. We shall be risking a great deal of money.
Very true, Master Weston. And we should be risking our lives. And the lives of our children.
Master Weston's conditions were hard, but at length an agreement was reached, and our people left Holland forever and embarked for Southampton, England.
There you are.
Thank you very much.
Brewster? I am the Reverend Brewster.
Standish. Captain Miles Standish.
Master Bradford. Master Carver.
I'm at your service, gentlemen. Though I doubt what service I can be to you.
We have our doubts as to that, too, Captain Standish.
As well you may. Tinkers, weavers, preachers, carpenters going to a desolate wilderness. To a land of wild beasts and wilder savages. You know where you're leading yourselves?
We know only where the Lord is leading us, Captain Standish, and that is sufficient.
I know nothing of that. I know only that tinkers and weavers know little of wilderness or danger or starvation. Or of fighting. Can any of you fire a musket?
Can any of your kind fire a soul?
Will you? Captain Standish, you are a soldier. We, as you say, are tinkers, weavers, and preachers. You have been companion to wilderness and danger. We have not. We need your help.
I'm not of your faith.
There will be many strangers with us on this pilgrimage.
Strangers.
There are only 35 of us from Leiden. To make up a sufficient number, we have had to recruit others from London.
Yes, but why strangers?
We call all men strangers who are not of our religion.
Your group has the patent from the Virginia Company?
We have.
And thus the authority to command?
Aye.
May not these strangers, as you call them, stir up trouble in this regard?
We must put our trust in God.
Master Brewster, I'll go with you, if you'll still have me.
August the 5th. Departed Southampton in company with the Speedwell, an ill-looking vessel at best. Speedwell leaking. Put back to Delfthaven for repairs. August the 17th. Set sail a second time. The Speedwell is unseaworthy. Put back to Plymouth. September the 6th. A.D. 1620, the Mayflower sails alone. They had no friends to welcome them, nor inns to entertain or refresh their weather-beaten bodies, no houses, or much less towns to repair to seek for succor. As for the season, it was winter, and they that know the winters of the country know them to be sharp and violent. Besides, what could they see but a hideous and desolate wilderness, full of wild beasts and wild men? And what multitudes there might be of them, they knew not. As for themselves, they numbered 102 souls, but only 35 true pilgrims, the rest strangers to their faith. And as Captain Standish had foreseen, this was to threaten the very purpose of the pilgrimage.
Enter.
Master Carver, these men have a grievance.
Yes, what is it?
Master Carver, when we came this voyage, we understood that your group had a patent from the Virginia Company to settle in Virginia.
So we have.
Then command us now, Master Carver.
What is your meaning, pray?
Our meaning is simply this. This ship was blown off course. That land out there is not Virginia, but New England.
And?
And so your patent is worthless. You've no power to command.
We have the power to command this pilgrimage given us by God, and ye be strangers.
Command us, Master Carver.
What say you, Captain Standish?
I say this. Our landfall is some 200 miles north of the limit of your patent. Of that, there can be no doubt. As for the other matter, these men are strangers to your religion, as am I. But I would remind you of this. In the land from which you fled, you yourselves were considered strangers. You were called heretics, disbelievers, and worse. Now we are lying off an unknown land, a wilderness. And unless we wish to leave our bones rotting on this shore before the winter is over, I say we'd better dwell together in unity.
We whose names are underwritten, the loyal subjects of our dread sovereign lord, King James I, having undertaken a voyage to plant a colony in the New World, do solemnly combine ourselves together into a civil body politic for our better ordering and preservation, and by virtue thereof to enact such just and equal laws as shall be thought most meet and convenient for the general good of the colony. Is this agreed by all present?
Aye.
Aye.
What can I say of the painful labors of those first terrible months. To gain a foothold, however precarious, in that treacherous land. To find a site for our colony. To fashion simple, rude shelters. And how to describe that cruel first winter, when we were plunged into that wilderness, all unknowing and ignorant. Of savages, we saw few. And except for a first skirmish, in which our Captain Standish acquitted himself bravely, we suffered not from that source. But from another source, we suffered most grievously.
William, where are you?
Here at your side, my dear.
William, we should not have come. We should not have come.
Hush, my dear. Hush.
We should not have left England so many years ago. So many.
It was the Lord's will.
So many dead. Nearly half. It is the Lord's punishment. We should never have left England.
It is the fever.
I fear so. And the others?
2 more dead, and 1 dying. My own wife.
Rose, your wife. Out of the depths have I cried unto thee, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Does he hear, Standish? Does he?
Must a stranger chide a true believer for lack of faith?
Do we bury our dead tonight?
Yes. It's a dark night. We'll not be seen. Come.
And during that first terrible winter, we buried more than half our number, leveling the graves to conceal our losses from the Indians, and in the spring, sowing them with grain. But the winter passed, and spring came, and life embraced us back. And we very few who were spared, found help from an unexpected quarter. Help from those very savages we had so feared, from Massasoit and the ever-faithful Squanto. From them we learned how to sow our crops, how to work long hours, where to fish for herring and alewives. We worked in common, men and women, pilgrim and stranger, white man and Indian. And at last the harvest time came, and with it our thanksgiving.
For when we left our homes and our dear, dear friends in England, we embarked upon an uncertain pilgrimage. We thought to find a hostile country and hardships and heartbreak, and these we found. We thought to find no friends here to aid us, but in this we were wrong. We did find friends here. We did not think to lose half our number, but they lie now in this earth, in this newfound land. But stranger and true believer alike, they lie now as planted seed, a precious seed from which will grow this colony we call New Plymouth. For as one small candle may light 1,000, so the light here kindled shall shine unto many, yea, in some sort, to a whole nation.
By the waters of Babylon, we shall down and dwell. When we remember thee, O Zion, we shall down and dwell. As for our hearts we hang them up, upon the trees therein. When we remember thee, O Zion, we shall down and dwell.
This is a copy of what the first Bible printed in English in America looked like. This Bible was printed by the U.S. Congress in 1782. In the records, it says that this Bible was, quote, a neat edition of the Holy Scriptures for the use of our schools, end quote. So the first Bible printed in America in English was printed by Congress for the use of our schools. It's worse than that. In the front of the cover, it says that Congress resolved the United States and Congress assembled recommend this edition of the Bible to the inhabitants of the United States. So the first Bible printed in English in America was done by the guys who signed the documents, endorsed by Congress, and done for the use of schools. And we're going to be told that they don't want any kind of religion and education. They don't want voluntary prayer. No, it doesn't make sense. This document by itself is fairly significant. But in 1830, Congress commissioned these four paintings over here to recapture what the official record said was the Christian history of the United States. So in these four paintings you have really a span of several hundred years. If I take you through them chronologically, the first is back there, Columbus, landing in the Western world in 1492. They got out, they knelt down, they had a prayer service. You see the cross they have. They named the land where they had landed San Salvador, meaning Holy Savior, which tells you something of the thinking that was going on then. You come back over my shoulder here. This is the baptism of Pocahontas in Jamestown, and this was in 1613. Over here, the fourth painting is 1620. This is the embarkation of the Pilgrims coming to America. You see them gathered around the Bible there. You see the prayer meeting they're having. Now, if you just take those four paintings right there, those four paintings in this great secular hall of government, those four paintings represent two prayer meetings, a Bible study, and a baptism, which is not bad for a secular building. As a matter of fact, you're standing in what in 1857 was the largest church in the United States. It's the U.S. Capitol. Back on December the 4th of 1800, members of Congress, members of the Senate, Thomas Jefferson was over the Senate, you had John Trumbull over the House. They decided that on Sundays we would turn the Capitol building into a church building. And starting on Sunday, we started having services in the Capitol. Now, 6 weeks after that, Thomas Jefferson became President of the United States. But for his 8 years as President, he went to church here at the U.S. Capitol, listened to the sermons here at the Capitol, and being Commander-in-Chief, he decided he could help the worship here at the Capitol. He ordered the Marine Corps Band to come play the worship services at the Capitol. Now, that'd be kind of cool having the Marine Corps Band as your worship band, you know, in church. That church went for the better part of a century, and by 1857 there were 2,000 people a week that went to church in the hall of the House of Representatives. In addition to that, there were 4 other churches that met at the Capitol. First Congregational was their church home, as was First Presbyterian, as was Capitol Hill Presbyterian. Churches met here. There was nothing secular or seen to be secular about this building until the last 30, 40, 50 years.
I'm revived. I feel different. I feel that I'll go home and know how to pray. Last night we walked around the Capitol. I spent more time crying and weeping listening to Brother David as he spoke about our government and the documents that he held up. And I said, Lord, how can I be used?
The David Barton tour of the Capitol, that was awesome. It was enlightening. It was awesome. There was so much that I didn't know.
It opened up our eyes where the media will only give you one side, but we got to see what America was built on. And even though we knew it, we got to see in depth. And just the information that he gave us, it blew my mind.
Though I've lived in the general area for over 20 years now, I'd never been inside the Capitol before. I'm within 2.5 hours of the Capitol. And David, the leader, was just phenomenal. So
one of the highlights for me was going to the Capitol building and getting some history about what's been going on as far as how this nation was started. And we've been lied to, and that's the honest to God truth. And just not, and knowing that has really, I'm a little angry about it, and I'm at a point of getting the education that I need.
You see the statue to the left of the door over there, that white marble statue? That is President James A. Garfield. President Garfield was one of the young major generals in the Civil War. He was a war hero. He became Speaker of the House. He became the 20th President of the United States. And by the way, that man founded Howard University. General O.O. Howard took it over after he founded it. Just a really cool guy. But what we never hear about that President of the United States is that he was a minister during the Second Great Awakening. This is actually one of his letters, signed James A. Garfield, 1858. In this letter, President Garfield recounts that he had just finished preaching a revival service where that he preached the gospel 19 times in the revival. He says as a result of his preaching, he said that 34 folks came to Christ and he baptized 31 of them. Now that doesn't seem like a typical presidential activity today. That's what we used to do with presidents in the past. Again, you'd walk through, you'd see that statue, you'd think, oh, there's a president. You'd never think there's a minister. We've so compartmentalized Christianity in such a small box that we don't realize our military leaders, our ministers, our educators, our presidents used to be ministers. That's why I say about 1/4 of these statues are ministers of the gospel.
The church has been silent. It's been a real eye-opener to see, the forefathers of our faith in this country, how they engaged the culture. They had a positive impact on the culture, and really we're all the beneficiaries of that generations later.
Now, if you come back to these guys right here, these 56 guys right here are the ones that create all the problem with religious expression in public today. You see, every time we go into a public setting or a court case, and what's happened is we've all been trained to recognize the two least religious founding fathers. We can all find Jefferson and Franklin, and everybody else was just like them. Really? I mean, most people have no clue that Jefferson started church in the U.S. Capitol, that it went for a century. Most people have no clue that Thomas Jefferson in 1803 negotiated a treaty with the Kaskaskia Indians in which Jefferson put federal funds to pay for missionaries to go evangelize the Indians and gave federal funds so that after they were converted, we build them churches in which to worship. And that's our least religious founding father, okay, which tells you something about the others. Out of the 56 guys who signed the Declaration, you have 29 who held seminary or Bible school degrees.
My first visit to FRC was that of going through the Capitol tour with David Barton. And that changed my life, because in that tour, we learned and found out things about this nation and the founding of this nation that are wholly and strictly Christian from the Bible. And you need to know that. You need to hear about that. So I encourage you, make FRC a destination. The Family Research Council has given us pastors a voice that goes way beyond our pulpits.